Wow, folks. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for waiting. This is yet another one of those learning curves. The internet. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. We really appreciate you staying and hanging in there. 2 minutes before we went on the air, my computer went bye-bye. So again, thanks. Welcome. Welcome to our 7th episode of Black Dance Stories. Here's a note about why we are here. Our dance world was pummeled by COVID-19, and Black dance artists are finding ways to talk about life during this time. Our world was further turned upside down after horrible events ensued nationally and globally, bringing attention yet again to the need for the Black Lives Matter movement. Black dance artists have not been quiet. Black dance artists have been doing the work. Black dance artists continue to make work. To stay involved, we hold these weekly impromptu discussions and tell stories, Black dance stories. This one action will help us stay involved, and we promise to stay here. We are a community working together to support, uphold, highlight, and celebrate Black creatives. And we learn more and more about this every time we come here to share this with you. Tonight is our 7th episode of what we hope will be many, many stories told in the artist's own voices. If this is your first time joining us, another big hello and welcome. Please, please spread the word, and for sure, come back. Tonight, it's Sydnie L. Mosley and Raja Feather Kelly's turn. Let me first introduce myself and the rest of our, oh my gosh, our growing team. Just 3 of us today, but let me first introduce myself. I'm still stumbling, trying to catch up. I am Charmaine Warren, hot dang it. I am a Jamaican. I am the great-granddaughter of Ida Boyd, granddaughter of Solomon Goldson and Ruby Chapman, and daughter of Theophilus Warren and my 94-year-old mother, Pearline Warren, who lives in Jamaica. I am a non-disabled Black woman. I live in the stolen land of the indigenous Lenape people, now known as Montclair, New Jersey, with my husband, photographer and graphic artist, Tony Turner. Our daughter, Ashay Turner, a Black ballerina with locks, is going into her junior year at Boston Conservatory. Dance is my world, folks. Dance is my world. And I am here because of that. Let me also say that I have locks that are braided and pulled up in Bantu knots. I'm wearing blue and white earrings with cowrie shells on the bottom and an amber t-shirt. I'm here with my friends, Kimani and Nick. Behind me are photos of my family, a tree, a lamp, and I feel the hug coming from so far away from my friends. I turn it over to Kimani.
Thank you, Shanta. Hello, everyone. I'm coming to you from the village of Harlem, also on stolen Lenape land. I am a Black, non-disabled woman, and I live with my 9-year-old son. I'm here in my dining room. A plain white wall behind me, and I sit at my dining room table speaking to you all. I have a golden low-cut hairstyle, and I'm wearing heart earrings, sending out love to everybody. So I am the granddaughter of Lucille Madison, who recently transitioned at 104. I teach because of her. Daughter of Ronald Augustus Fowlin, Jamaican warrior, and Anne Fowlin, Renaissance woman. I dance because of them. My son Tamayo keeps me present with the fascination of a blossoming young visual artist. And with that, I turn it over to Nick.
Hi everyone, I'm Nick Hall. I am Haitian American. I was born in Brooklyn to Sheila and Curtis Hall. My family, including my sisters Isabella and Victoria, now live in Montclair, which is on stolen Lenape land. I'm also a recent graduate of the Fordham Ailey BFA program. I'm currently in a white room wearing a blue button-down shirt, and I'm also the digital media director for Black Dance Stories. And with that, I'm going to pass it back to Kimani for some housekeeping.
So everyone, just something that we will be saying throughout these episodes. The most important thing we can all do right now is vote. We have 81 days left, and we will be reminding you in each episode. So it takes a village, and some of our village exists behind the scenes. We have Cynthia Tate, our publicist, Gabe De Coladanu, our web designer, and Tony Turner, graphic designer. So all these people plus new interns coming in. It's a growing family, and we ask that if you can, please donate, because we want this to keep going far into the future without stopping. We have many things on our wish list and blogs and websites. You know, it's getting closer, but again, that could be helpful. Also, these wonderful artists here, please consider donating to them, especially in these times. So with that, I turn it back to you.
So one thing we do ask is that everyone puts their name in the chat. A big part of Black Dance Stories is the community that we create, so we want to know who's with us tonight. And second, importantly, is to grab a drink, whether that's a glass of wine, a cocktail, a glass of water, whatever makes you happy. And on that note, let's cheers to Black Dance Stories.
Cheers, cheers. Wow. Oh gosh, I feel like we're at the end because of that rugged beginning, but oh my gosh, here we go again. Whoop, whoop.
Do it, do it.
Do it, do it. Sydney, 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 come on in. Gonna say bye-bye to Kimani, and we're gonna say bye-bye to Nick, just for a moment though, just for a moment. See you in a little bit, y'all. Sydney!
Yes.
Cheers, Sydney. Mm. So, introduce yourself. Wait, first of all, tell us what you're drinking.
I am drinking a honey basil whiskey sour with basil from my fire escape garden. I learned how to make this drink last night, especially for Black Dance Stories. And I'm gonna make it again so me and Kimani can have cocktails this weekend.
Because you live close by.
Because we live close by, around the corner. You can have a nice social distance drink.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, welcome, Sydney. Thanks for being patient. Introduce yourself.
Okay, so my name is Sydnie Liana Mosley. My pronouns are she, her. I am on the stolen land that was stolen from the Lenape people, also known as Harlem in New York City. As we go on, you might hear Harlem out my window in the form of sirens and trucks and people hollering, because that's the nature of my hood. So be prepared for that. I am non-disabled. I am a Black woman, curly fro. I'm wearing glasses, burgundy lipstick, pink earrings, a black blouse, and I am in my apartment in my reading nook with green and white wallpaper behind me, in one of my favorite spaces in my home. I am originally from Baltimore, Maryland, born and raised. I am the great-granddaughter of Lola Wiley, the granddaughter of Ray and Henrietta Mosley, Kathleen Whaley and Jack Ware, the daughter of Stanley and Crystal Mosley. My siblings are Greer Dorsey and Maurice Mosley and Tyler Thompson. I had a host of other mothers, a host of aunties and uncles and godparents and fairy godmothers and teachers and mentors. And I have a host of friends who are my family and have been my family for most of my life. So that is my introduction. And Mama Charmaine, ask me something.
Oh my gosh. Wait, the last time we saw each other, moved together as part of Ava Ya's invented skeleton architecture was Was it Detroit?
I think it was Detroit.
And then we tried again in, and you couldn't make it to IABD.
I know. Oh, yeah. I was sick. Oof, I was sick. Yeah. You want me to talk about that?
I want you to talk about that because I think you've been inside since then.
I've been inside for months. Even really before coronavirus. So the event that you're referencing, or us coming together and dancing, is through Skeleton Architecture, which is, for those who don't know, a group of improvisers, Black women and gender nonconforming people who were originally brought together under the curation of Ava Sansewa, one of our favorite people in the whole wide world. And we improvised together as a collective of 21 humans at Dance Space Project in the fall of 2016, I believe, which is wild. It's been almost 4 years now. Wild. And actually, even just naming that, I just want to express gratitude for that specific experience, and also the knitting together of all of those humans through that specific experience. And it was really a blessing for me at the time, because I was really at that moment in a moment of rebuilding, regenerating, reincarnating, and coming back to myself through performance practice, and specifically doing that through improvisation. I always just say that it literally was one of the most magical experiences of my life, because we just showed up and were our Black ass selves, and it was fantastic. And so, just thinking back, fast forward, actually, we were supposed to do IABD. We did do IABD. I was supposed to come along to IABD in January in Philly. And I was at the meeting and I was ready. And then the next morning, I was not ready. And so, yeah, I am coming out of a season of burnout, a season of illness, that really kind of set in at the end of last year in December. And, at this point, I have been burned out enough times to recognize burnout when it happens. And it is my body's really unceremonious way of telling me to sit the hell down. And so I, literally was sick for months on months, and like different things like flu and the cold and stomach bug. And I don't know what the hell I had when we were supposed to be doing IABD. I honestly don't know, and I don't want to tell y'all what the symptoms were, but yeah, I have been really reflecting a lot on what what I've come to name really as cycles of burnout are trying to tell me. And I've been writing a lot about it. I recently published a piece in Essence magazine that kind of summarized what that experience has been. But for me, I think there's a lot of things to say about it. One is taking it out of the like micro, ow, my body hurts, ow, I have back pain, ow, I'm vomiting, or, like taking it out of that and actually like zooming out to the macro and trying to understand what are the conditions that make it so that I cannot maintain a state of what I understand wellness to be in my life. And what are the stressors, what are the factors that really seem to pull me out of what I understand to be my best self. And also recognizing that I have multiple best selves. I think one of the things that prompted this most recent season of Burnout, honestly, was being in full creative mode. Basically, all of 2019, I was like, gotta make a dance mode from January till December, literally. And there were different elements of that process. That there were residencies, there was the regular SLM dances rehearsal schedule. SLM Dances is the dance collective that I founded in 2010. And we have a spring and a fall season, and we were in rehearsal and we were making a thing. And then I also did a program at Give Me, again under Ava's curation. I can't think of the name of it now. I don't know why, but I was paired with Diane Harvey, and I made a solo on her that I absolutely had in my mind, like, this is a part of this piece that I'm making. And so I just named that the whole year I was just in making mode. And the thing that I know about myself when I'm in making mode is that I'm a vessel. I'm very clear that when I am making work, it is not my genius idea. It is the divine spirit's genius ideas coming through me. And I'm also really clear that that is a vulnerable space for me. And because of that vulnerability, I need support in, I need protection, actually. And I need everybody who's around me, I need care, like in a really deep way. I am recognizing, like, even the idea that I should be able to care for myself while I'm in the process of making is like, actually, no, you shouldn't. You should be able to do the thing that you're being called to do, and that there should be systems in place to support you. And I've been thinking about that a lot in terms of understanding the artist as a part of the community ecosystem. And understanding the importance of that role. And we know that our US society at large does not value that. But within our smaller communities, within our family communities, within our creative communities, I have intentionally put myself in spaces to the best of my ability where that is a general understanding. And so for me, it is a lot of the past 10 years of me making work in New York City has been figuring out how to construct that family and that community of care. That's really what it is. Like, I'm really processing out loud right now that each iteration of work that I've made, each iteration of interactions with mentors and teachers and friends and relationships of all types have been about, how do I prop myself up? Not prop myself up to be like, oh, me, look, I did a thing. It's not about that. But it's like, I've been using this metaphor with a yoga asana practice. And when you are practicing yoga, you will get really intentional about, okay, I'm trying to do this thing and it's not quite feeling right. So let me go get a pillow. Let me go get a blanket. Let me go put the block underneath of me. And you put the things in place that you need to support yourself so that you can feel grounded, you can feel connected, you can breathe, and you can do the thing, and you practice it, right? And it's a practice. And so I really see, as I reflect back, I'm in this deep moment of reflection. Thank you, pandemic. Thank you, sickness that made me sit my butt down. I'm in this space where I'm recognizing, okay, how do I remain in this practice? And what do I need in order to sustain this practice? And what do and how do I remain fluid with that practice, I think. And being fluid it's interesting because I love to improvise, and I'm always just like, okay, I'll figure it out when I get there, and then I do but also I have a very grounded energy. I'm very slow to change. It's weird. Both of those energies are in me. I've been in the same apartment for 10 years. I've had friends for most of my life. Like my best friend 25 years ago is my best friend now. It's interest. It's an interesting negotiation, understanding that the only constant is change, and how do I manage and sustain that? That's where my brain is. Yeah. And I'm just trying not to be sick no more. I'm tired of being sick. I'm just over it.
And there's nothing good about COVID, nothing, like you said. But thank you for the time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to throw one at you. Diane McIntyre said, it's Black time now.
Ooh, it sure is.
What you gonna do with that?
Okay, first of all, it's been Black time. But the thing about it is that everybody else is maybe like, some people are like, oh, it was never about us. No, fools, it was never about you. Okay. Yeah, it is. This is a very, very wild moment. And it's a very wild moment, specifically as a Black person, specifically as a Black femme, specifically as a Black femme artist who's been making work about being a Black femme artist. And everybody all of a sudden is like, oh, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, they do. And for me, as someone who has been in the practice of doing this work and is in a legacy of doing this work, my filter and my patience is actually non-existent. It's Black time. Let me tell you what Black time means is I'm gonna cuss you out. I don't care. Shut up, cut the check. I don't have time. Reparations now. The end. I really have no filter, and sometimes, some days I'm like, I really have to stop being on the internet. I really have to put this phone down. I really have to get it, because somebody's gonna get me, because I just say whatever and I really don't care. I'm just like, you gonna pay me or what? And that's all I have to say. I am tired of even thinking that I need to earn some level of value. I'm tired of thinking that, that I need to struggle, that I need to, I'm tired of it. I'm worthy. I am full of value because God made me. My ancestors and Jesus have paid it all. The end. Pay me. Like, that's all I have to say about that. It's Black time, and that's what Black time means to me.
Ashe?
Yeah. That's what I have to say about that.
Ashe to that. Mm-hmm. Are you thinking of making work? Take that back. You have been making work? What is it looking like inside?
With the COVID?
With the COVID, or the Rona as they call it.
Okay, let me tell you about the Rona and making work, because I'm making a piece. It's called Purple, which Mama Charmaine is in. She didn't say that. But I knew it was going to be a long process from the outstart. I actually love a process, and I love a long process, because I know that I don't know what the thing is when I start making the thing, and I have to give the thing time enough to tell me what the thing is. And so I started, like, the germination seeds for this piece was in 2017. And then at the end of 2019, in December, we had a showing, and that showing at Lincoln Center Education was what I would call like the first full rough draft. It was an evening length. It was all of the ideas thrown at the wall. Just get it out of my head, get moves on stage kind of a thing. And the intent, what I thought, that was not what was going to happen, but what I thought was that 2020 was going to be, we're going to be in rehearsal, we're going to be editing, I'm going to bring in the musical collaborate, like, you know, I'm ready for production. And then my body said, no, you're not. And what's interesting to me is that the piece is capacious enough for this break. The piece is about breathing and sitting down and transition. That's literally what it's about. And praying and meditating and being in relationship and, you know, trying to figure out what sisterhood is. It is all of these things that we are being asked to consider in this moment. And the other piece of it is because relationship and care and breath are at the core of this work, us sitting down and taking care of each other and wearing a mask and not going into a studio and breathing in our own homes and not on each other, that's actually doing the work. Like, it's literally, we are practicing purple by me sitting in my house for the last 5 months. Hey, Harlem out there. We're practicing it by taking care of ourselves right now. And so, you know, I don't know when this work will see a stage. I know that I'm not about to make anybody's physically distanced dance. You won't catch me in a studio. Do not ask me to come to your tape out, social distance, nothing, okay? However, Sydnie Mosley Dances is in full swing. We have paid everybody through their contract in the spring, and we plan to do the same thing in the fall. We are still in a purple process, even if it doesn't look like in the studio, let's put a dance on stage process. Taking care of ourselves, taking care of each other. I mean, there's those things at the core are still the process. There's also a lot of dramaturgical work. There's a lot of music. Like we're trying to develop a script. There's plenty that we can do from our computers. And so when the time comes, we will put it up, and I'm okay with whenever that is. I'm okay with making sure that everyone is taken care of. And I don't even just mean like personally the dancers taken care of. I mean like our community. Like we talking about make sure y'all go vote. We're talking about what is New York City doing in terms of a reopening plan? Why are you reopening? I have so much rage about reopening. I just, as an aside, I have so much rage, y'all. Because we don't, why? Why are you reopening? This is a whole other soapbox that we probably don't have time for, but I'm going to say this, that everybody, just like the Lord and my body told me to sit my ass down, everybody else needs to sit their ass down. The end. I really don't care. Unless you are absolutely essential in terms of making sure we get food, making sure that we have whatever we need in our homes, you know, unless you are that type of essential, everybody needs to sit down and stay home. The end. I don't care. There's no loopholes to this. Okay?
Cheers to that.
There's no loopholes.
Cheers to that. Let's bring Raja, who is not at home, in. Come on in, Raja. And some shout outs. Hi, Raja.
You rude, who is not at home. Really, Charmaine?
I'm rude. I'm very rude. Whatever. Oh, wait a minute, Raja. Right, I'm not going to talk about that. So some shout outs to the wonderful people that are here. Tracy Herrick, Juma Tatu is here, y'all. Eva Ya, whoop, whoop. David Binder, my person who doesn't want to call himself my boss. David Binder is my boss. Leslie Parker is here. Carol Dilly, whoop, whoop. Bard, Laura Marchese, Candace Thompson, Joe Malillo is here. Georgiana Pickett, whoop. Amy Casello, Ann Davidson, Cynthia Oliver, and Stacy Diener. Whoop, whoop. Thank y'all for coming in. I think Joanna Kutze is also here. Whoop, 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 whoop. So I don't have to talk now.
What you mean you ain't got to talk now?
I ain't got to talk now. It's you and Sydney. Talk amongst yourselves.
Oh, Sydnie L. Mosley.
Wait, did we cheers with you, Raja?
Oh, hi.
Cheers.
I'm drinking coffee. Like,
I love coffee.
same.
I'm having it right now.
Does everyone have your Venmo, Sydney?
They should.
I know, that's why I'm asking.
Sydnie-Mosley, SYDNIE-MOSLEY. Thank you, dear. And what's your Venmo? Make sure you get your
Everybody should put my money towards Sydnie L. Mosley. You want to say your Venmo again?
Sure.
Don't give me no money. Give it to Sydney.
Okay, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I mean, I say that, Sydney, I watch you, I listen to you, and you be out here just schooling people, educating everybody on what they need to be doing, on what they don't need to be doing. And I revere you and your work and the way you educate and the way you create space. It's really, I come from a home of Black women, so I'm like, it's probably just within your DNA as a Black woman to understand how to take care of people and what that means and how to process that and think about that abstractly, but also literally and quite specifically. And so I watch you do that with such eloquence, and I revere it. So and I listen to it as well. And even today I continue to listen. So I'm here with this moments with you as a student, and also as a peer, and as a revering peer, for sure.
Oh my goodness. I will say in response to that, what you need to do is completely my grandmother.
Now what you need to do,
but like for real,
down.
She'll just send me a text message, just real random out of the clear blue sky. And she's like, well, have you thought about this? Well, how about you do this? Well, what they need to do is. So that's Kathleen,
Yeah.
Grammy.
Yeah.
I love her very, very much. And you're right, it is
that
true.
Black womanhood, just serving communities, making the world turn. I am gonna have a baby, and I hope that. Well, I mean, it's a very long process as a gay man, but it's gonna happen. But growing up, I never cared. I was like, I want to have children. I know it's gonna be difficult. I know it's gonna be a process. Like, it doesn't matter what that child is, but the more and more I move through the world, I'm like, I think I want to have a Black child. Because Black women, I have to stop saying that anyway, but it's true. What should we talk about? I don't even know what to talk. I think, I super appreciate many things that you're bringing up, particularly about space and community. It's something I've been thinking about, and something that I don't think I ever learned. I never, I feel schooled, I feel experienced, but we don't talk about community enough and how to build community. I think we assume community, and I think right now, as everybody's at home and they're like, who should I call? Who should I email? And like, what should I be doing? And that's like a clear indicator that they don't have community, and it's sad. And I sometimes feel that way myself too. I mean, I think there's a difference between recognizing where your community is and how you support that community and give to that community and take from that community and share with that community. But I believe the art of community building is lost. But not with you, and I think that's the point. I think my point is I see it so, it's something that we can't look out for, but something that is like, it's either of you and you create that space, or it's not. And so, I want to be like, how do you do it? But it's, it just seems like it's just of your nature. So how do others do it?
Well, okay, both things, right? Like yes, it is completely of my nature. But like it's my family's nature, you know, like the way that like the thing that I was complaining on the internet about this week was the fact that I'm tired of cooking, and specifically tired of cooking for myself, even though I love to cook. I love cooking, and I'm sick of cooking for myself, and I'm sick of ordering. And it's because I realized I miss family meals. I miss having someone cook who loves me, cook for me and others. And I miss also offering that to people. And I realized that like that is actually that practice, that act is a like core thing in our home. And whenever I like bring friends to Baltimore, like you come to our house for a meal and you sit around the table and we drink wine and we have a good time. And that between that and I would say in church as well. I grew up in church, and those are the two spaces I think I learned most about creating community. There's a lot of other things, but the thing that I was going to ask you is because like I can talk a lot about like how do you facilitate community space, how do you build that, but what are the ways that you feel like you do have community in your life already? Like who or what is that?
Yeah, I'm a loyalist. I had a. Well, I should say this. Something else that I recognize in listening to you speak is just like what family means. And I heard you say in the beginning when you gave your introduction, I have a host of mothers, I have a host of godmothers, I have a host of fairy godmothers, and that's sort of where I feel my life is. Like I don't have a very strong relationship with my family. In fact, I was adopted when I was 13 and like lived outside of my home for years and years and years. But what I've collected are my friends are really my family, which sometimes I feel I'm often having to like, what's the word? I've had to continue to tell people like, this is my family member. And they're like, well, that person don't look like you. And I'm like, right, but this person took care of me. And like my idea of what family is like, and so I have a host of people stage after stage of my life who took care of me. And that's also in some ways what happened at home. Like I'm the youngest of five, and I have all sisters, and they all just like took care of me. And then they were all like, you have to go. So you have to go to college, and you have to like do art, and you have to do these things. So I have this like sort of pressure of like, get out of the family and go do. And then I have this like, this like on every leaning side, people being like, all right, we got you, do your thing, we got you. And I feel like that's sort of how I try to lead as well, which is like this odd, like hold you close and hold you distant at the same time. Like my adopted mother's words were adapt, overcome, and improvise. Like those were her words every day. If you like needed something to eat and she wasn't ready to cook, she'd be like, you should probably adapt, overcome, and improvise. Or it's like, oh, I want to go to this thing, but like, I don't have no money. You got to adapt, overcome, and improvise. Oh, my thing broke and then my game that you got to adapt. And that's kind of like, I feel like that's the approach of how I make work. It's the approach of how I try to get through the systems that both uplift and tear us down. It's like how I try to get through a rehearsal room. And I believe that like comes with a lot of tension actually, because I think people sometimes come in and they're like, you're supposed to be my like 100% care system. And I'm like, I don't know if I know how to do that. You got to adapt, overcome, and improvise, but also ask me for what you need, but also I'm here for you. But also, like, it's really, I find it to be incredibly complicated. But certainly something I'm ever continuing to learn. It's like who has your back, and how are you holding the back of the people who you're with? And so I get people, and then I hold on tight, and then we figure it out together. Is what my families look like.
Same Z's.
Oh, welcome back, Charmaine.
I was just gonna say she's back. Y'all are having too much fun.
Oh, we getting it.
I know. I forgot to mention that Sydnie. Oh, and I had something in Essence magazine. Sydnie, Essence magazine, date, time, year, whatever. Can you tell us just a little bit more?
So it's on their online platform. The article is called How to Be a Black Choreographer and Not Die. It was published July 1st, 2020. So you can Google that.
Thank you. And the thing that Ava choreographed was Solo on Solo at Ava curated was Solo on Solo at Gibney, and it was you and Diane Harvey. And we say IABD, but not everyone knows it's the International Association of Blacks in Dance. Reagan Summer is here. Reagan Summer McCoy. Troy Ogilvie is here. Lots of people are in the house. Whoop, whoop. Sydney, see you in a minute. Y'all, please start dropping questions, because after Raja Feather Kelly talks and talks and talks, we're gonna have some questions. Raja, cheers. And that is?
This is coffee.
Coffee. Raja, introduce yourself.
Yes.
Raja, talk about something.
Introduce yourself, talk about stuff. My name is Raja Feather Kelly. I had to like write these things out so I forget. I am the son of Deborah Annette Kelly and Cephas Lewis Kelly. I am the grandson of Lily Carthan and Jerry Carthan. I am the adopted son of L.A. Myers. I am currently in Vermont. I believe that is like the Wabaneki land, but I do live in New York City on that stolen Lenape land. And I live there with my husband, Colin Kelly, and our incredible little dog, Mr. Victor Kelly. I'm in a room with an eggshell backdrop with some brown paper walls, and I am sitting in a chair. I've got a black baseball cap on. I'm wearing glasses. I have like a little bit more than a 5 o'clock shadow, like a 9 o'clock shadow going on. Dark skinned, and I'm wearing a pattern, sort of an astrological patterned shirt that is open to air, and I am covered in tattoos. I have 43 of them. Yes, y'all can't see Charmaine's face. I can't. Charmaine is shocked. And I'm still sitting in my like a kind of a, I'm bouncing, I'm buzzing from both the coffee that I'm drinking, but more specifically from listening to Sydnie talk about how she creates space and how, you know, her upbringing has prepared her for that, and how in many ways it is a blueprint, it is an invitation, it is a call in, I think, for us to do the same, especially at this time. I think it's ever more real right now, what we need and what we don't need. And, you know, we don't need to be doing nothing but taking care of ourselves and taking care of our communities. And if that includes, you know, making art, which I think for me it is, that's what I am. I'm an artist. And so I like need to be making art, and that's how I live, and that's how I survive, and that's how I think, and that's how I thrive. And so if doing that is what you need to do, and you're doing that in a way that supports yourself and your community, then do that with integrity and rigor and heart. But perhaps more specifically, ask the people that you're working with what they need to be cared for. And that seems to be something we don't know how to do or not used to doing. Charmaine's shaking her head both yes and no at the like, yes, that's right, and I can't believe that is something that we have to think about, which is how to care for one another, but it's real. I think people know this about me, but I sort of can't stop, and it's part survival, and it's part you know, I'm just that kind of person. I'm a Gemini. I have a Virgo moon and a Virgo rising, so I am like an effervescent creative creature. Like I said, it's how I think. But also, what I recognize is that, you know, leaving home at the age of 13 to create was my mode of survival. It's a way to get away and a way to do so as to be. And I have somewhat of a tumultuous relationship with doing it and not doing it. I have to do it. And I also have, I think, a very particular knack for doing doing it in a way that is that, you know, I think the words I use, and this is why we write before we speak, is I love to interrogate, but I also love to celebrate. And that for me is a good balance of being able to dig as deep as I can into something, and then also to restructure it and pull it out. I am a child of the postmodern era. I am as I am as superficial as Andy Warhol, and I am as deep and as critical as James Baldwin. And I hold these two men up as to be my pillars of thought. And I came across this quote. That I wanted to share because two other figures that are important to me are Anne Sexton, the poet, but also Ntozake. And she says, you know, hold on, I have to find it because I just think all y'all. It says, I'm a firm believer that language and how we use language determines how we act, and how we act then determines our lives and other people's lives. And that came across my like daily reading, and I was like, how is it not? And then I started just translating like the idea of language as movement, right? Like what we do with our bodies and how we interpret our bodies is a language at which we act from, and then that acting really determines who we are, and who we are determines who we engage with, and how we engage with people determines how that language is recycled. And you know, that is the system that I'm interested in. Like, where am I placing my body? What is my Black dance body story? And how does that interact with your Black dance body story? I wish people could see Charmaine going like, she is shaking it. But you know, where are we putting our bodies, and what kind of feedback are we getting from where our bodies are with other people? And do we have the capacity of understanding that and reflecting on that and sharing that back and allowing that to change? That has been my cycle of existing and of processing. I like to think. I like to think about thinking. I like to talk about thinking, and I like to dance about thinking about dancing. And that's all very, very exciting to me. What else should I say? Where are your communities? You know, are you like, my question is, where's your community, everybody? What kind of community are you building right now? Is that gonna last? Can we time capsule this moment and be like, who do I need? What do I need? Who am I serving? How am I serving them? And how am I doing that for myself? And how is that building a community? And I could stop worrying about capitalism and consumerism, and I could just worry about community. Can we trade those C's for this C? And if I do that, can that sustain me? And if I can sustain that, I can sustain myself. And then I am building an economy of my own that is from the heart. And that heart is integrous. And that is a system that goes through the circulatory system inside your bodies. And that pumps blood, and that pumps energy. And that can make you live on and on and on and on. And I think that's what we should be doing.
Has your blood stopped pumping at all?
I mean, I hope not, because then I would be closer to death, I think, if my blood stopped pumping. But you know, this is my I've been doing a lot of writing. I know that you know, and in this time, I feel lucky in this time that we're in, because my company is a dance theater and media company, and we've always worked in performance, we've always worked in text, and we've always worked in media development. So this time has really not, in terms of my creativity, it hasn't really stopped. You know, something that I think is important is COVID pandemics don't own my creativity, I own my creativity. So I've been one of those proponents that are like, I'm not making work in response to no COVID. Like, you know, COVID-19 is a pandemic that is killing mostly Black people over the world. And this work is not in response to that. That's the work y'all need to do to stop killing Black people. You know, like give Black people, give everybody healthcare, but especially give Black people healthcare because they need it. So like this work is this work, and it's not in response to that, but it is in response to that, is that I am like a Black person that you should be uplifting along with my other brothers and sisters and people. So if you ain't doing that, then you ain't responding to nothing. So I'm thinking about that. But I feel lucky that I feel like I've been in some ways ready for this. I've been prepared for the unknown. That's what we always learn in school, in class, right? They're like, okay, close your eyes, loosen up your body. This is gonna be unknown. Just get ready for the unknown, get ready for the gray area. And like, y'all, we are in the gray area. We are in the unknown. So I don't know why y'all acting like we are not where we have been preparing to be. That's how I feel. I'm like, we have been preparing for the unknown. This is the unknown. So sit, relax, get a pen and a piece of paper, make a collage, build some video, talk to your friends, let creativity be unearthed. Don't let creativity be a response or a reaction. It's inside of you. No one can see that I'm talking to you. I'm starting to feel like I'm losing my mind, which would not be problematic because, you know, I could call the mind shelter.
But you're talking to everybody else too.
Someone is asking if I would talk about my fascination with Dog Day Afternoon.
You're not supposed to be reading that.
Oh, someone just sent it to, I'm not. Oh, okay, I won't. Well, now I have to.
Yeah, now you have to.
So, well, I'll say this. You know, Dog Day Afternoon is not singular in my obsessions. My fascination, my obsessions is with culture, right? Like a pillar of my thinking is: do we make culture, or does culture make us? So all the work that I make is constantly asking, like, you know, what did what? Like when I grew up, I just sat in front of the TV like this, like repeating the TV back, being like, oh my God, I'm TV, TV is me, I am TV, TV is me, I am a book is me. Like I read, I absorb, I exhibit, like that is my cycle of taking in culture. But then I became this person that creates culture, right? Like I've been making work for myself as a director and choreographer for, you know, over 10 years, but as a vessel for other people for my whole life. And so we create culture, and it's all popular culture, right? Like the masses of people take in what we do. And I'm fascinated with understanding what that process is like what the loop is of taking something in, digesting it, understanding it, physicalizing it, embodying it, it being a value, it being a part of your core being, and then putting that back out into the world. Like that is a cycle. And so which and who is feeding which at whichever time. And so how I'm able to zero in or practice that thinking and creating and evolving is to choose. And so Dog Day Afternoon, which is one of the most incredible depictions of a time, of a culture, is like something that I can celebrate for its beauty, but something that if we dig super deep into Dog Day Afternoon, there are tons of problems. There are tons of like, oh, this is what the culture was. Like, oh, like we celebrate like mediocrity. Like, oh, America is about erasure, and America is about pretense, and America is about not celebrating people for who they are. And so while this movie in 1973 went into the library of the Congress Library of being like culturally significant, it's significant because it's so incredibly problematic, and it's created the culture that we live in today, which says like, oh, you can erase people and you can take stories and make spectacles out of them and cover up the true essence of someone's being. Or like there's a real love story in there about two people who are so ride or die that they would rob a bank for somebody else, you know, like that's incredible. But we that's not Beauty and the Beast, unfortunately, and that's not Romeo and Juliet, but it's a better love story than both of them. You know, in my opinion, it's a real ride or die situation. It's not a fairy tale. And also I think, you know, I think it's time that we uplift our trans community, and there's something very specific about that movie that I think shows us just what we have and have not done for a community that has done so much and has given so much to us. And so it's a place where everything that I think about and everything that I am interested in as it relates to culture is actually in one movie. And I live right around the corner from where they filmed it. So it's Kismet. It's true.
Wait, you know, you're probably almost out of time. I don't know, but Raja dancing? Who asked that question? What? Raja?
Nobody wants to see me dance.
What? Raja dancing? Wait, huh? What?
I like, how are we going to go into this? I always wanted to be a dancer. I really love dancing. It's something that I never really felt like I could do well. And I have this issue that's like, if I'm not going to do it well, then I don't want to do it at all. And so I don't know. As I get older, I'm just like, what is my body? What is my dancing body? But also, I never wanted to, wait, here's something. I never wanted to be one of those choreographers where like, when you're watching them in their work, that like you're just watching them because they do this thing that they haven't figured out yet how to articulate on other dancers or performers. And so in some ways, a part of my stepping away from performance began with being like, can I actually make an approach to how I think and perform and actually articulate that for performers who are working with me? Like, is that something I can do? And I don't know if I've achieved that, but it's something I'm deeply interested in because it's that thing about critique where I look at companies and I'm like, oh, I'm looking at the choreographer. I'm not gonna name no names, so you're like, the choreographer can do it. Ain't nobody else can do it. And I don't blame them. I blame the choreographer for not understanding and taking that time of processing what's happening in their body and in their mind and how they're influenced and shaping that onto a dancer with and for them. And it's not about making them look like you're doing what they're doing, but really understanding. And that's what I did in processes when I was dancing with people. I was like, I really want to know more and more and more about like not what you're doing, but how you're doing it. And that is something that I'm into. Like, that's also like what technique is, right? It's like a how you do something as opposed to like a game of match. That's different. So I don't know, maybe I'll dance again, but I don't know, you'll have to stay tuned. I know that like, I won't be able to see Charmaine face to face ever if I don't perform. So maybe y'all are all lucky because Charmaine might actually be the person to hunt me down, throw me on a stage and lock the door, and then put some music on and be like, you better dance. We'll see. I will say that quarantine has made me miss dancing much more than I ever thought. Because I'd be in the house, right? And nobody be around. And then I'd be like, boom, I'd be hitting it. And I'm like, oh, I'm getting it. Like, come see this show. Cause I'd be getting it, I'd be like mixing. I'm like, am I like Ailey Forsyth meets, Jan Fabra meets, some kind of Cayenne meets my time with Kyle, meets my time with Zoe Schofield, meets Reggie Wilson. It's all within me, and that's so exciting. And I'm like, I feel lucky. I know what I've been able to do in terms of my dance career, like a little Joanna Coxa in there, like what I've been able to do. I'm just like, I feel there is not another body that has actually had that lineage of work inside of them. And that feels super special. That feels very specific. And I would not want to let that go to too much waste before I have to lie down, if you know what I mean. Oh, I wish everyone could see your face, Charmaine. Why don't you come back and chit chat with me for a little bit?
You really want me to come back? You have a few more minutes.
Come on.
I'm here.
Okay, well, what
Wait.
Yes.
The BAC thing, when you dance, and I said, wait, Raja, is that you?
I try to disguise myself, and
whatever.
No one would have known that was me unless you hadn't, unless Charmaine was like, that's Raja dancing, y'all, that's Raja, click the link, that's Raja, I know him, I know his body.
All right, just say what it is, because it's almost time for Sister Girl to come back.
Okay, great. Well, I can just
say what that was.
Yeah, the company's been working on multiple projects. So we're working on Wednesday, which we'll talk about later, which is our recreation of Dog Day Afternoon. We're working on this oral history radio show called The McCarthy Era. And what you saw is this work called Fantasia. Again, just another zeroing in on some kind of cultural emblem to show everyone what it really is. And I would just suggest everybody go to fantasiafantasia.com, and that is the Fantasia spelled with a PH. And if you're listening, you get those cute little tidbit that the password is Disney, so you can get into the site. And I love research, right? Like if I weren't a dancer and director, I would probably just be somebody's dramaturg forever, just like one person forever. And I'm always fascinated, as many of us postmodern people are, on like what is the conversation between like performance and process. And so I've been ever dedicated to like like unpacking how a process can be a performance versus translating a process over time into like the document that it becomes, which is in performance. And so in this time of quarantine, we've built this like platform or website, if you will, that performs its material. And so we have been researching the 1940s Walt Disney's Fantasia, and we've been what we call unrecycling, where we're like, oh, how is it made? What is the blueprint? What if we recreate? What if we take that blueprint and do it over with material from 2020? What does that become? And what is Fantasia today? And that's what that is. So if you are curious, I would suggest going to fantasia.com. That's PHANTSIA.com, password Disney. And you can take a look. It explains itself. That's the point.
Did you say that too fast?
I think people got it.
Okay. Well, it's time to bring Sydnie back. And y'all, if you tuned in late, little technical difficulties. We started about 13 minutes late, something like that. So we're fixing to go a little bit longer. And now it's time to, wait, cheers.
Oh,
with your coffee and
look,
Sydney's real drink.
You know I got rehearsal at 7:30.
And you're gonna be late. Cheers.
I love it.
So send them a text right now.
Got you.
All right. So lots of AK Jones in the house. Whoop whoop. Statements, sometimes questions. Here we go. Joe Malillo, raising my glass of wine to celebrate your very significant program. Cheers. Thanks, Joe. And Candace gave you a shout out, Sydnie, just dropping in there about the essence. Seriously? Okay, so Ava says, yes to need of spirit, protection, care, while in the process of bringing something through. Cynthia Oliver, here for those of us making work about Black femme likes, capital letters, forever. Get on the bandwagon, Raja Feather Kelly. Ava ya Santewa, that makes sense, Sydnie. Oh, and Joe Malillo said she nailed it. Food and wine, that's community, right? Don't y'all miss being, when you said that, Sydnie, the missing being with people. It's a thing. Ava, adapt, overcome, improvise, said your mama. Right, Raja?
Yes, have to overcome and improvise, y'all.
All right, this is a statement, but I think we need to just make a little comment on this. Cynthia says, Juma, they both got the serious wallpaper. Raja, can you talk about that just a second?
Look, y'all, I made this especially for y'all. I made this especially for y'all. I'm a designer. I like design.
All right, wait, where are the questions?
Where are the
Folks
questions?
are just dropping in lovely commentary.
It's just Sydnie and I, we say what we gotta say. People ain't got questions because we just be saying it.
But here, I was taking notes on you, Raja, though.
What? See? This is Sydnie, y'all. I was taking notes.
I was taking notes. Here they are. I'm gonna read them. This is my version of the Amen Corner. Process is performance. Loving research, yes. Being a performer and being a choreographer are two different jobs.
Hello.
Okay. We are where we have been preparing to be. We're not making COVID response work. That's y'all's job.
Amen.
That quote from Intozaki, yes, 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 amen. And I will name that Intozaki Shange is also a centerpiece in Purple, the piece that I'm making. Right.
Bringing Intozaki in.
That Charmaine, even though I know the people couldn't see you while we were talking, that you have been doing what I love to call some full-bodied agreement. You know, when your whole body is just, yes. And just also thinking about other similarities between us, Raja, as artists, both being writers and both having been developing and managing companies and collectives for an amount of time, and being
for a decade.
That being our process as much as the dance making being our process.
Right.
So that's me saying Ashe.
Ashe, Ashe. So there is a question for Raja from Joseph Malillo, not Joe Malillo, Joseph Malillo.
Joseph Malillo.
Please ask Raja specifically about capital letters, fatherhood.
Who? It is my next adventure. My husband and I are in.
Husband's name is
Colin Kelly.
Dancer
And choreographer.
Choreographer.
Yes. And we have embarked on the journey that it is for two men to have a baby, which, believe it or not, is in fact the hardest coupling of two people to have children, which some people don't seem to understand. They're like, I don't understand how it's hard for two men to have babies, but it's hard, y'all. It's just difficult for many reasons. I'll say this: I don't know fatherhood. I actually only know motherhood. You know, I have 5 sisters. They all have children. I have a grandmother. I have a mother. I have lesbian aunts. I have a lesbian mom. Adopted mother. It's the scariest and most exciting thing that I have ever agreed to do. And I have and similar to being prepared for the unknown, I literally have no idea what I am doing or what it is. It is only something that I could probably speak on in retrospect. But I'll tell you that the idea of bringing a life into the world that we live in is probably the best and the worst thing a person can do. And I'm gonna do that. And I feel lucky, and I have a partner. I have a husband who is brilliant and who wants to do that with me, and taking care of that child and making y'all take care of that child as well. I mean, y'all as in like the world, you know,
Right.
is what our job is. And I, you know, I'll swear into that and hold myself accountable, and integrous, and I'm gonna keep smiling so that that baby knows love, you know, so that baby knows love. But really, you know, that baby's about to teach us everything, you know.
Did you see Sydnie shaking her head when you said? And everybody, the community takes
y'all about to raise this kid, y'all. Y'all about to raise this kid. Vote.
Vote.
You know.
Vote.
Y'all
But
about to raise this kid.
Sydnie did say, send the text to her grandma. So it's definitely, this fatherhood is not just you. Right, Sydnie?
It's true. I believe in community babies. I do not have any human babies myself. SLM Dances is my baby. And then I have godchildren, and those are my babies. And so, yeah, you know, people ask me, do I have kids? Yes, I do. You know, and
Right.
I'm here for everybody taking care of the babies.
Amen.
COVID does not own my creativity. Which
not.
one of y'all said that? Both of y'all said that though, right?
Yeah.
Probably, yes.
I mean, it's something I've been saying, because, you know, when people are asking us to do work and they're like, hey, will you come and do this thing? And then they like want to write something about it. And they're like, this is in response to COVID. I'm like, no, like it's no. I've actually always been creating, and COVID ain't had nothing to do with that then. It has nothing to do with it now. Like it's, I don't know, just that language is very, I don't like it.
It's fingernails on the chalkboard, you know?
It's really gross to even say that, especially when you consider, if we want to have a conversation about COVID, like that, it's a pandemic. It is a virus.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not out here making work about viruses, you know, like that's a different thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to have a distinction between what our creativity is responding to.
Well, you know, it's interesting. It's like, I'm very clear that I've already made all the dances that are relevant to this moment. You know, like I made a dance about mutual aid and economics, and like I made a dance about that, right? Like I made a dance about police brutality in the state murdering Black people. You know, like I've already done the things,
like,
right?
where were y'all at? Where were y'all at when we were making that fucking? Pardon me, sorry. Where were y'all at when we were making that work? Did you make the last solo I made? It was called Ugly. It was about all this. It was about y'all not paying attention to Black people, and I made that in 2018. Like, it's 2020, and now y'all like make the work in response to how we be fucking up people's lives. It's done happened. Go to the Vimeo page, go to the website, pay me back, pay Sydney back, pay everybody else who's done made it. All right, like we've done did it. You know, I'm still living in this body. I've been living in this body for 20 years.
Stop it.
I bet you know. So,
Black time, Diane McIntyre.
that time.
Black time. As Cynthia Oliver said, the queen, Diane McIntyre.
Right?
But are y'all exhausted?
You have you sweating. Ooh.
I know, sorry. You did open your arms and do the forward back motion. You did do that. 20-year-old.
20.
Lies.
I'm about to say, I ain't been 20 in a long time. And I think we about the same age, Roger. I'm just saying.
Age is how I feel. Age is how I feel.
Yeah. Raja, will you talk a little bit about what I'm thinking back to, you know, us both managing companies for a long time, for a decade. And you talked a little bit about care and what that, you know, trying to figure out what that is, and like what has that process been specifically with your company?
Ooh. Well, you know, so I think I said earlier, like I've been a loyalist, right? So I started my company in 2009, and I had a small group, and I've just been like ever dedicated to that group of people. And when we embarked on this new and people have like come and gone sort of naturally. I've never actually until last year ever had like an audition process. It's been like a sort of self-selection, like you want to do this work, you show up, you can do this work. And I felt very good about that. But then, you know, when we've embarked on this piece specifically about Dog Day Afternoon, it's been important for me, I should say, to like open that door. We also, you know, after never getting a grant or, you know, any sort of institutional funding for, you know, a decade, we had like at one moment had gotten like a number of resources at the same time. And what felt important was to like give that away. It's like, don't hoard the resources, invite people in, give these resources away. Like people are often like, if you don't have auditions and you're not teaching as much, like how am I supposed to get into your company? And I'm like, right, you're right. Come on. Took on some apprentices. It's just like, hey, these doors is open, y'all. We are now a community center. But you know, that was also, I would say, a tumultuous process, because when you're working for 10 years, right, you develop a family. And then when you open those doors and you invite just anyone in, you have to do work to take care of those people. And I will say that I have in my company have been confronted and like, are you actually like, great, you've invited people in, but have you thought about who those people are, how you're inviting them in, how you're creating a safe, brave, thoughtful, intellectual, creative space for those people? And are you holding space for them? And I'll say something else that has like, not been, or something else that has come up is like there is a mental health crisis that is like the real pandemic that we have been in, and the one resource we don't talk about enough. in my opinion. Like, we don't talk about how to give, like, great, you give people money, you come up with a schedule, you have an agenda, like all these things that sort of let people know what's going on, but how do you talk to people about their minds? And how do you talk to people about how to give space to and care for what they're thinking and what they're feeling? And that I have to say is new. It's new for me. I've also, you know, the companies I have been in have also been like, come in, do it, go, come in, do it, go. And I haven't even taken care of my own mind often. And I'll say this to Charmaine, when Charmaine's like, okay, Raja, hold it.
Yeah.
We're gonna breathe for 3 minutes. We're gonna breathe for 3 minutes and we can proceed, you know, because I have been a part of this, like, get in and go and get in and go. And so it has been an important indictment, an important like value that has been brought to me from wonderful, you know, community members who are new to my process, that are like, I need you to think about my mental health. I need you to think about my safety, and I take that very seriously. And again, that makes me reconsider just like what community is, right? So I'm not like this like dictator. I am a leader that is led by the community of people who are like, this is what I need, and I'm in your space, and I require you to do that for me. And I am like, I have to say, okay. And that's a beautiful thing.
What about you, Sydnie? Turn the question back on yourself.
Yeah.
I'm so lost in what Raja's talking about. I'm like, what did I even ask?
But it was so good though.
But what I will say about that mental health piece is that that has also really surfaced for Excellent Dances as well. To the point of last year, we invited a friend of the company who is a licensed mental health clinician to come on our summer retreat with us, right? And so, she like came to the house, and we were on the farm together. And she's not paid; it's not like an official role, but she was just kind of there, and it was amazing actually that she was there, because we had some drama happen on that retreat, and she was actually able to hold and facilitate space in a moment where like I personally couldn't do it. Our other leadership was managing other things, and you know, like the dancers just like have her number in the cell phone, and they know that that's who they can call if they do you know, have something going on. And so that's actually been that journey, and I think particularly because I still hold dear and primary that who I want SLM Dances to be for, both in the artist performing as well as the audience, is Black femmes. And so the journey to figure out what I need to do to make SLM Dances, to hold space for Black femmes specifically, has me like trying to pull tricks out of the bag every year. And I think it's actually a really important thing that I want to name is yes, Raja, to the artists themselves holding us as directors accountable, right. But there is a level of flexibility that I actually cannot have, because I'm a Black femme herself, right, who has to maintain certain boundaries to even be in this position to hold space for others in the first place. And that is a really important nuance that I don't think is talked about enough when I think about who my big sister and auntie and mama artists are. And I think about the ways I'm like, oh, I really wish they could mentor me in this way. And oh, I really wish they could offer. And then I have to check myself, because they are holding a lot. And I have to recognize all that they're holding, and what are the ways that I can show up for them? What are the ways that I can show up for them so that they can show up for me in some of the ways that I need? And also recognizing, as you've said, was adapt, overcome, improvise. What are the ways that I can, you know, as I spoke about earlier, what are the other resources I have to prop myself up? But I just think that in and of itself is so important. And it's actually super important for me, for the younger artists who are coming up right now, understand that. I feel like in the past like 3 to 4 years, as who's calling? Right? Who's calling? Is that my phone?
think so.
Really? I have no idea.
I love it. Tonight is the technical night.
Oh my. We just okay.
But Raja has to go to rehearsal. But wait, no, but finish your thoughts, Sydney, because both of you can't be mother, father, therapist, all of those, right? That's what you were.
Right. I can't be all of the things. And I have gotten really clear, again, for my own health, that the thing that I am is the director, the choreographer. I'm the mastermind. I'm the strategist. That's it. And that's all that I can hold. And so making sure that there are other people in our community that can hold those other roles, that can create a web that is interconnected and that everyone can be a part of and feel supported. But the most important thing, I think, is for the younger ones who are coming up, the Gen Zs or I don't know what they are now, but it is so important. Show up and be there and study and research and show up for the people and the things that you want to learn. And I just think that's so important because the dance world has shifted so dramatically. There are not companies to go into like that anymore.
Right.
So who you're learning from and how you learn to be in this field looks very different. It's a lot more you're not just going to audition and go get the thing and then you'll be under that choreographer and then you'll know. And it's not, that doesn't exist like that anymore. Yeah. And so this is my soapbox for the young ones. It's show up, study, listen, research, learn, show up.
Shay.
Venmo Sydney L. Mosley now. I mean, I'm about to. As soon as we hang up, thank you for inviting me to class. I'll Venmo you immediately.
Come on back, Kimani. Come on back, Nick. Wow, thank you all for hanging in there a little bit. We appreciate the love. We appreciate that you hung with us to hear their stories. Oh, Sydney and Raja. Cheers, everybody. Cheers. Go vote, everybody. Do the census. Please. Get out there. Be counted. And join us next week for Dare Ayorinde and Zane Booker.
Yes.
Black Dance Stories continues.
It's black time.
It's black time. I love y'all. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.